confronting Tehran, the new Iranian president-elect, speaking out in his first press conference on yesterday, saying that the country's ballistic missile program is non-negotiable. The incoming Iranian leader also emphasized he will not meet with President Biden. This with Republicans criticizing the Biden administration for Joe Biden's efforts to rejoin the Iran nuclear deal after President Trump pulled the U.S. out of it back in 2018. Joining me right now is retired General, Fox News senior strategic analyst, General Jack Keane. General, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks very much. And let me just point out that Axios over the weekend reported that President Biden wants to get the U.S. back into the Iran deal, so much so he wants to hopefully get some kind of an agreement before the president is actually inaugurated in August. Your thoughts on where we stand here with Iran?
Well, this is pretty interesting, what Raisi is saying here, because just last Sunday, the National Security Advisor for the Biden administration, Jake Sullivan, said on the Chris Wallace show that, yes, they're trying to get back to the original 2015 nuclear deal. And they were advertising at the beginning of their administration they fully intended to lengthen the deal, that is the 15 years pathway to a nuclear weapon, the so-called sunset clause, would be extended, and they would strengthen the deal by prohibiting ballistic missile development and curb their behavior in the region. And on Sunday, he admitted, well, that's not going to take place now in the original negotiations that had taken place over the original deal. It's going to take place in a so-called phase 2 later on. Well, Raisi just pulled the rug out from underneath that because he said, one, ballistic missile development is not a negotiated item, and two, how we conduct foreign policy in the region with our proxies is our business, and that's off the table as well. So these are the issues that Secretary Kerry tried to negotiate with in 2015, and the Iranians threatened to pull out and stop the negotiations. So we are capitulating once again to a fundamentally flawed deal.
Why? I mean, why, General? Look, we've talked a lot about China and the threat of communist China. But when you're looking at Iran, you're looking at a country potentially run by people who are supporting terrorists. You know, John Ratcliffe over the weekend said to me, Iran is very different than China because, yes, China is an authoritarian state, but Iran is run by terrorists. Why is he so interested and you know, this obsession to get back into the Iran nuclear deal?
Yeah, I think the fundamental belief is that, one, they're denying the fact that Iran, as we well know now, after the Israelis raided a warehouse and took out classified information in 2018 from Tehran, that the Iranians are secretly conducting advanced centrifuge production and also enriching uranium and making the other instruments it takes to produce a nuclear weapon. And they put that aside. And the idea is that if they can get into this deal with this rogue regime that obviously is lying through their teeth, that and reduce the uranium enrichment and reduce the centrifuges, that we can buy time. Buy time for what? There's 9 years left. The idea is that now in those 9 years, and this is the basic premise that Obama had and Biden has, that in those 9 years that are left, the Iranian regime will become a responsible nation in the community of nations and therefore would not pursue a nuclear weapon which would lead to an arms race in the Middle East. So what is the evidence that Iran will become a responsible nation? Since 2015, the original deal, here's what they've done. They invaded Yemen with their Houthis and toppled a government friendly to the United States. They've conducted multiple attacks on Saudi Arabia, to include their largest oil field that Saudi Arabia has. Multiple attacks on U.S. troops in Iraq. 2 chemical attacks their client state used on their own people in Syria. And we just saw an 11-day fuselage of rockets and missiles, all provided by from Iran to their proxies, raining down on Israel. This has been their behavior, and yet the Biden administration believes in the 9 years that are left, somehow Iran will become a responsible nation. That is absolutely preposterous, and they're in denial over this.
That's right. Yeah, we're going to have to watch this. It's very serious, just as serious as the China threat. Let's talk about China and its propaganda. I want to point your attention to this Wall Street Journal op-ed recently titled "Xi's Rewriting of History Won't Stay in China." It highlights the global impact of Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party and its propaganda. The authors write, Americans should take heed. Censorship that starts in China does not stay in China. And, General, they go through the facts of how the Chinese Communist Party tries to rewrite history. You're obviously not allowed to know anything about what happened in Tiananmen Square. If you're in China, you can't obviously Google any of that or get the details on that. But there's more than that. I mean, they try to censor and change so many stories. They're following the political debates in America. So when the Journal says when the censorship starts in China, it doesn't stay in China, we're actually seeing that take place here in the U.S. as well. And the censorship may very well be coming from the CCP. What do we do about this?
Yeah, this is a reality of what we're doing with him. We got to comprehend how massive controlling information is to the Chinese, because they know full well their Achilles heel are their people. They need the willing support and submission of their people. The social compact to let the CCP control their lives. They have to submit to them, and therefore they can have their own economic and prosperous advancement based on their own capabilities. So what has actually happened here? They obscure their history, Cultural Revolution, when Mao Zedong killed over 1 million of his own people. Tiananmen Square, as you say, and then when people come out and speak against that, they repress that, and then they get sympathizers, apologists to say, well, it's really not so bad that's going on in China. Look at the recent repression. Just last week, 500 police raided Apple Daily, which is an anti-Communist Party publication that Jimmy Lai owns, and he is sitting in a jailhouse in Hong Kong. Can you imagine this? 500 police enter a newspaper's headquarters and pull out of there their senior executives, managing editors, and put them in jail. Freedom of the press is dead in Hong Kong. Now, why are they doing that? Because the Apple Daily criticizes the Chinese Communist Party, and China will have none of it. Facebook, in this country, up until just till May, has been denying any accusations in Facebook against the origins of the of the virus coming out of the Wuhan lab.
Coronavirus.
And they just finally removed that restriction. That is censorship in our own country.
That's right.
That's what the author Paul Wolfowitz was talking about, how this spreads outside of China and contaminates.
And we did a whole show on it this last Sunday that, you know, the social media has censored truths. When did they become the arbiters of truth to tell us that, you know, how the coronavirus started when we knew that all the circumstantial evidence pointed to a lab incident, and yet they're censoring it, in touch with Dr. Anthony Fauci, so that they can just go with the narrative of the establishment or go with the narrative of the CCP. That's not the first thing. That's not the first time we've seen this. They censored Hunter Biden. They censored and censored other things about President Trump. They banned Trump. They banned Senator Ron Johnson for pointing out that there were actually treatments for COVID. Ivermectin. I had a doctor on this Sunday talking about the benefits of ivermectin. It's off patent. The pharmaceutical companies are not making any money on it. And now we hear the HHS talking about investing $3 billion in finding a treatment for COVID. Well, what happened at the beginning of the pandemic when nobody could have any access to a treatment because social media banned it and censored it? So you're right. Censorship doesn't stay in China. It's the Journal's right. And it's a very concerning situation here because social media has just decided what they're going to run is truth.
Yeah, the good news about all of that, and it's very frustrating listening to what you just said and understanding how that distorted the reality of what America and Americans were facing here in this country. But, you know, the truth does win out, Maria. It's finally here. And just as the collusion charges dealing with the Trump administration, finally the truth came out. Now the truth is coming out about the therapeutics, hydrochloroquine, and other things that turn out to be of some value to people and actually have saved countless lives. So, yes,
that's right.
We have to push back against censorship in any form that occurs in this country, and we have to speak out against it when it's going on in Russia and it's going on in China with the Chinese Communist Party, and what is happening in Hong Kong. We have to have a strong voice against it.
That's why I continue to do it. Unfortunately, 600,000 Americans are dead at this point over the last year. General, it's good to see you this morning. We'll keep a spotlight on it all. We so appreciate your time. General Jack Keane.